मैं तो दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी बहुत रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
Good evening, Fiji. In this bulletin, no changes to restrictions for COVID-19. FRA turns to rehabilitation works instead of repairs. And weak structures identified as cause of devastation.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spate.
All precautionary measures related to the containment of COVID-19 will remain in place for the time being. This has been confirmed by Prime Minister Bainimarama, who says it's too soon to scale back restrictions, even though Fiji continues to see successes in containing the virus. One more Fijian has recovered from COVID-19, meaning there are now only 3 active cases in recovery. Edwin Nund reports.
Fijians will have to bear with restrictions for another few weeks as the government takes a cautious approach to public health and safety.
We cannot risk a second wave of Fijian infections. That is why, for the time being, all of our health protection directives will remain in full effect. The nationwide curfew will remain in effect from 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. every day. Social gatherings must be limited to 20 people or fewer. Gyms, nightclubs, cinemas and swimming pools will remain closed, as will houses of worship. Contact sports are still not allowed to be played. Our schools will remain closed as well until the 12th of June 2020.
While only 3 active cases of COVID-19 remain, the Prime Minister says given the resurgence of the coronavirus in other parts of the world which have relaxed containment measures, Fiji needs to be vigilant.
As tight as our safety nets may be, there is always a chance that an symptomatic case has slipped through undetected. We have no evidence to suggest this is the case, but it is still a risk we must consider. Because all it takes is one case, one super spreader, to provoke a Fijian epidemic of COVID-19.
The Prime Minister has indicated that it may be a few more weeks yet before Fijians can expect any relaxations.
In the coming weeks, we will finalize our game plan for a gradual scale back of some of these measures. But I want to be crystal clear with every person watching. No matter how confident we are that this virus has been defeated, our most critical restrictions aren't going anywhere.
Meanwhile, Minister for Economy Aya Sayed Kayum will next week announce the second round of COVID-19 unemployment benefits to be paid out in partnership with FNPF. This will help Fijians whose employers have been severely impacted by the coronavirus crisis. Edwin Nund, FBC News.
An app for smart devices called Care Fiji is expected to be launched soon to further enhance Fiji's fight against COVID-19. Prime Minister Bainimarama says the app, which is similar to that used in Singapore and Australia, is currently going through its verification phase before being made available to all Fijians.
A mobile app called Care Fiji has been developed that will harness our phones. Bluetooth technology to make any future contact tracing faster, easier and more effective. And it will do so all while protecting the privacy of the user.
Bainimarama says the use of the Care Fiji app will determine the country's countermeasures against the virus and allow for some semblance of normalcy.
If enough Fijians use Care Fiji, we'll be able to avoid large-scale lockdowns entirely. More importantly, widespread adoption of Care Fiji will help save lives, bring back jobs, and increase confidence among our tourism and trading partners.
More than 750,000 Fijians have been screened by health officials for COVID-19 symptoms. Health Minister Dr. Ifiremi Wanganambete says while the 3 active patients remain stable, testing has been comprehensive, with 2 types of tests now available for coronavirus. Maggie Boyle reports.
COVID-19 screening by health officials has ramped up significantly.
In terms of clinics, we've seen more than 750,000 people all across Fiji. That's about 88% of the population that we know. We also know that at the moment we've had very significant testing. Our testing has been driven up because we have both the RT-PCR testing and also the expert testing, so we have the capability to do the 6-hour test and also the 45-minute test.
With 4 active COVID-19 cases from the initial 18, the health minister remains cautious.
So they continue to visit people, meaning that the symptoms have abated. Certainly we follow at the moment the WHO criteria, so they've had testing since the 21st day that they've been in isolation facilities, in the health facilities, and we kept them because they've been positive.
Australian High Commissioner John Feeks has commended Fiji's response to the pandemic.
Fiji moved quickly and decisively when COVID first emerged. The government was prepared to make the tough but necessary decisions. The Ministry of Health had a plan which it executed faultlessly.
While Fiji may be on the cusp of being declared COVID-19 free, the health minister is advising Fijians to remain vigilant and continue to practice safety precautions, especially with new confirmed cases in Wuhan, China, where the virus originally emerged. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
The Fiji Roads Authority has confirmed that they are not doing any pothole repairs anymore. The authority is now moving towards rehabilitation works for entire sections of roads that have been damaged for years and are in urgent need of repairs. The FRA chief executive says they are aware of the condition of most severely deteriorated roads and are taking steps to rectify the situation. Kritika Kumar reports.
The FRA says roads in the Central Division cannot be managed with the current climate, as roads that were sealed have been damaged again.
3 cyclones and heavy downpours, and we've had very little opportunity over the past 4 months to get the teams in there to do proper repairs on the roads, because as soon as it rains, we have to go and do it again.
The authority has provided clarification as concerns were being raised with the standard of materials being used on the roads. Due to the coronavirus lockdown, FRA was unable to access the Rewa asphalt plant. So for a short period, they used the stone aggregate material known as AP40 in some areas.
There are some new innovations that are coming through, but some of those new innovations require quite a large capital investment in plant. So the materials that we have in Fiji, if they're managed and extracted properly, if they're treated properly and if they're applied properly, there's nothing wrong with the materials we use in Fiji.
Fijians have also raised concerns regarding the poor road condition.
As we all know, we're all riding on the vehicle every day. There's a lot of bumping here and there.
The roads are damaging the vehicles.
It's not up to the standard where both motorist and pedestrian safety can be ensured.
The authority says rehabilitation is an expensive affair, therefore they will prioritize the most affected areas. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
An assessment following Tropical Cyclone Harold has revealed many houses were destroyed by the Category 4 system because it did not meet the construction standard. The Housing Minister has agreed with the findings of the National Disaster Management Office, saying many Fijians are opting for affordability instead of standard when building their homes. Koroi Tandulala reports.
The NDMO assessment reveals people in the rural and maritime areas often modify their housing plans to suit their budget.
When people build their own homes, unfortunately in some instances, they don't build to standards. It's a question of affordability.
Housing Minister Pramila Kumar says this is also common in informal settlements where community members and relatives come together to build a house.
Whatever knowledge or know-how they have, they use this to put up a house. And we have seen in this informal sector that I have termed it, this sector, when the houses are built, the focus is how you can reduce the cost. So the design of the roof is not taken into consideration. They'll try and choose a simplest design, which is a flat roof, just a simple flat roof with minimum strapping of the roof.
Both the ministries have said those houses that were damaged during the cyclone will be rebuilt, ensuring they meet the building standards. Koroi Tandulala, FBC News.
Parliament Secretary-General Viniana Namosi-Ma'alua is believed to have given her statement to the Fiji Independent Commission Against Corruption investigating officers this morning. A team of officers is believed to have visited Namosi-Ma'alua in Parliament today. This is in relation to the allegation of possible breaches of travel and accommodation allowances involving certain members of Parliament. It is believed at least one government MP and some opposition members have been allegedly claiming travel and accommodation allowances despite not being eligible. Government members of Parliament were given time until this morning to submit documents in relation to claims of any travel and accommodation allowances. Up ahead, no charges against Piotikunduandua, and farmers take on new initiative to stop soil erosion.
Radio Fiji One, Nandomo Iviti.
Opposition MP Piotikunduandua will not face charges over allegations of a breach of the Public Order Act on 20th April. Director of Public Prosecutions Christopher Pride has decided that no charges will be laid against Tikunduandua. The police file was sent to the DPP for an assessment of the evidence and a decision on whether any charges should be laid following a complaint. Pride says following a review of the police docket and the evidence, it is their opinion that there is insufficient evidence to support criminal charges against Tikunduandua. The docket has been returned to police with the instruction not to charge the MP and no further action is required. For decades, Korotari farmers have been dealing with the effects of soil erosion, with most farms located beside the river. However, nothing was really being done to stop the slipping of this healthy, nutrient soil into the river until now. Yesterday, the planting of grass was introduced to the farmers for the first time as a means to stop the loss of soil. Eleanor Turangaiviu has more.
Decades of practicing standard soil conservation methods has not worked out for these farms in Korotari Lambasa, as every year they lose good soil to the nearby river.
I look at that as a very serious issue, that erosion is a cause of reduction in the production of crops.
Farmer Satish Chand only uses this portion of his farm for vegetables between the months of May and November before the rainy season approaches. Every year he has to fork out extra cash to rehabilitate his farmland, which has been affected by erosion.
If you do lots of erosion happens, we will have to buy more fertilizer, spend more on bulldozer, and spend more money. If the erosion doesn't happen, the land will be fertile.
Now, a new tropical grass that holds the key to a cheap and practical solution for controlling soil erosion has been introduced in Korotari.
The fertile soil is on the top, so we don't want that to go away. We want to maintain that so that year after year we can make more money.
The features of the vetiver grass enables it to hold soil together and prevent it from falling off.
And you can see the activities taken by Ministry of Agriculture here. This is one way, one farmer to another, and we can keep on encouraging and see that every farmer has the radical idea of how to reduce the soil erosion.
Other farmers in the Korotari area who face similar problems will also receive the same vetiver grass planting assistance from the Ministry of Agriculture. Eleanor Turangaiviu, FBC News.
The Agriculture Ministry is hopeful the livestock sector will grow to help us reduce the reliance on import. But at the same time, it does not want to achieve this at the expense of biodiversity. Minister Dr. Mahendra Reddy says farmers need to fence their livestock paddocks as untethered animals often cause problems such as overgrazing of native plants. Pranita Prakash reports.
The ministry will assist 528 farmers with fencing materials, and forestry species will be planted outside the fence areas to restore and rehabilitate what has been damaged.
We are part of this environment, and therefore we need to protect this. And we will be providing you with fencing materials, which you will fence your animals. At the same time, we will give you 10 seedlings of 3 species that will benefit you, the environment.
The Permanent Secretary for Environment says biodiversity plays an important role in agriculture.
Agriculture has been enabled by biodiversity. Like, for instance, the soil, the fertility of the soil, and the nitrogen content. Everything is being governed and directed by biodiversity.
The project is funded through the German Environment Fund Staff Fiji Reach to Reef project, which will be carried out in 6 catchment areas in Ba, Lambasa, Rewa, Waindina, Tunuloa, Tuva and Buniviap. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
The Fiji Ships and Heavy Industries has halted most of its vessel refitting work due to the impacts of COVID-19. Fiji Ports Chief Executive Vajira Piasena says most of the regional vessels cancelled their bookings, while local vessels were not able to pay for refits due to financial constraints. Piasena says they have diverted their focus to fabrication and heavy industry work to see through the crisis. He says they are also working on the maintenance of the slipway to ensure that it is ready when operations normalize.
We are focusing on at this time to for the rehabilitation of the slipway which is long overdue. So the some staff will be working on that fabricating of this new cradle for the slipway, and also slipway railing repairs, underwater repairs and things like that. So during this slack period, we were also doing those repair and maintenance work.
And Whitney is back with the latest in business.
Thanks, Jackie. Coming up after the break, Fiji Link to gradually increase services.
My name is Neha and I'm from Karavi, and Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Fiji Link will gradually increase services to a number of domestic ports in the coming days. The domestic carrier will increase daily services between Suva and Lambasa to 2 per day from tomorrow. Fiji Link will also add twice-a-week direct services between Nandi and Lambasa, operating Fridays and Sundays. The weekly services between Suva and Savu-Savu, as well as Suva and Taviuni, will increase starting next week Friday. Weekly services between Nandi and Rotuma resumed last Friday. New Zealand is now in level 2 of the COVID-19 lockdown, and businesses are abuzz. Restaurants, cafes and retail stores are happy to welcome their customers, but with certain restrictions in place. Sanifa from HFC Bank joins us with the latest from the trading world.
Let's look at the forex market today. Against a basket of currencies, the US dollar is up about 0.5% this week. It looks set for modest weekly gain as rising Sino-US tensions and worries about a second wave of coronavirus infections rattled investors. The market is sort of in a wait-and-see mode at the moment, waiting to see in particular whether US-China trade tensions really do escalate. Wavering hopes for a quick global recovery from the pandemic had the trade-sensitive Aussie dollar composed to snap 5 weeks of gains with a 1% drop, its first weekly loss since early April. Investors have been pleased by signs of a rebound in China's manufacturing sector, but are closely watching the retail figures for signs of a return of consumer spending as the world looks to China for clues as to what a COVID-19 recovery looks like. Elsewhere, the British pound remained under pressure overnight after the British government reiterated its refusal to extend the Brexit transition deadline beyond December. The euro also hit an almost 5-year low against the Swiss franc as the crisis puts pressure on the single currency. That's all for this week from HFC Bank, Vinaka.
Turning to today's exchange rates as set this morning. The last trading day of the week saw the Fijian dollar on the up against the Chinese yuan, the euro and the Japanese yen. We were down against all others. Onto the commodities market, it was an increase all around. Crude oil finishing off at $27.60 per barrel, while gold was at $1,731 per ounce and silver was at $16.05 per ounce. That's it from Business Tonight. It's back to Jamie with the latest in sports.
Thanks, Whitney, and good evening. Coming up, FRU to trial new World Rugby law in domestic competition.
Bola, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka, and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
The Fiji Rugby Union says it will adapt new laws passed by World Rugby in domestic competitions. One major law change is tries can no longer be scored by grounding the ball against the post protector. But the FRU believes this will not have much of an effect on Fijian rugby. Caroline Itavi with the details.
John O'Connor says they will filter all other provisions in the law in local competitions.
One of the laws discussed and was supported during the council meeting in a change and which becomes effective. So we are changing our domestic competition terms of participation to reflect the changes.
World Rugby Chair has stated by stipulating that an attack team can no longer score against the post protector and must ground the ball in goal, giving the defending team a fair chance of preventing a try from being scored. The change in law will not make much difference domestically.
It doesn't make any huge impact into our domestic competition because most of our tries in Fiji have been scored over the line, and there are only a few cases where the tries have been scored against the goalpost.
Fiji Airways flying Fijians loose forward Johnny Dyer is expected to join French club Biarritz Olympic in the 2020-21 season. The NRL and its referees could be headed for a bitter dispute that could eventuate in strike action. League bosses have confirmed that only one referee will officiate the games for the remainder of the 2020 season, but the referees union says their concerns weren't heard and they're now threatening to strike in a move that could delay the season restart in 2 weeks' time. Former All Blacks winger Julian Savea has revealed he is returning to New Zealand, but it doesn't necessarily mean a return to rugby. Savea has been with French side Toulon since 2018, but COVID-19 situations forced a move home. News Hub reports the Bus is weighing his options, which include a switch to rugby league. The OFC Executive Committee has confirmed 3 tournaments have been postponed in light of the coronavirus pandemic. That's your Friday night sports. Coming up in Weird and the Wonderful, we'll drive in theaters with the new normal. Dubai's biggest mall is set to try it out in a few days. Find out more after the break.
Bola, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka, and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Thanks to virtual reality, thousands of displaced Palestinians are now able to visit their lineage. And our favorite weather lady joins us now with all the latest.
Hello to you, and guess what? It's Friday. I'm pretty sure you knew that, but I'm just throwing it in there just to double up the weekend excitement. Now, coming to weather, it mostly stayed cool and settled. No harsh rain or anything, just the kind we all love. Moving to the west, so many fun stuff to add on the list. Well, while you really can't do the things you want to do right now, how about a list of to-do things you can do when the restrictions are lifted? Eastwards from Peck Harbour to Suva, the sun was a bit confused. One moment it was nice and bright, in the other it slowly dimmed. Up north, temperatures were marvelous. Who doesn't need marvelous temperatures, right? Especially when the weather is so good. At sea, southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, moderate seas. The fishing trip for the night looks soothing. Turning to the tides, low tide at 7:41 p.m. with high tide at 2:07 a.m. Sunrise is at 6:24. For tomorrow, you probably need sunglasses as the weather will be sunny. No disturbance from rain. Tomorrow's temps, Lambasa is taking up the heat again at 32 degrees. It's actually going to be quite sticky and muggy, so stay out from the sun for long. And looking further on to Sunday, the weather is quite surprising. sunshine is ours to keep for the weekend. So Jackie, I don't think you need to carry your umbrellas to your morning market visit tomorrow.
Exciting news. Thanks so much for that, Angie. In Fijian Pulse tonight, we ask, are you looking forward to the resumption of local and international sports?
In Fiji, we really love sports. So we are really looking, because we missed a lot of 7 tournaments. So we are really looking forward.
Yes, I think it's been a while, and hoping that all sporting activities will resume.
I think the resumption of sports will be beneficial for everyone, especially those who take part in sports, as well as sole proprietors who make a living from selling food during competitions.
I am really looking forward to the resumption of sports because it is a good source of income to the players locally and overseas.
In the world of the weird and the wonderful, a cinema company has turned a mall rooftop into a drive-in theatre amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Recapping the main stories for tonight, no changes to restrictions for COVID-19, FRA turns to rehabilitation works instead of repairs, and weak structures identified as cause of devastation. Now for these stories and others, tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. Our poll question we're asking: should a banking ombudsman be appointed to oversee bank services in Fiji? Visit our FBC website to answer. And our shot of the day comes from the Sugar City, beautifully captured at the port by Tevita Jr. And show us what you've been up to during the lockdown and movement restrictions. Email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj. Share it with us on our FBC News Facebook page and Twitter page at FBC_news. That's your news for tonight. Until tomorrow, have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Bye for now.
I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka, and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.